In 2023, everyone was saying Airbnb is over, it's too late to start an Airbnb, the market is saturated, you're not going to make money. But I'm here to say, I've started a successful Airbnb in 2023 and I have another one launching in 2024. And I had never done an Airbnb before, so this video I want to talk through everything that I learned so that you can be successful when you launch yours. There's going to be a lot of information in this video, so buckle up, replay as needed, take notes, and here we go. Okay, so let's jump right in. There are 4 main areas that you need to focus on and think through if you want to have a successful Airbnb. The very first step is acquisition. How are you planning on getting an Airbnb? Number 2 is your financial plan. How are you planning on financing? There are options, but I'm going to talk through what worked for me, especially if you don't want to have to spend a lot of money up front. There are ways to finance your Airbnb without using your own money. And let me tell you, I'm big on stuff like that. Whenever I can avoid coming out of my own pocket for cash, I will do it, so we'll talk through it. Oh, that rhymed. Number 3, I have a hard time making a 3. 3 is going to be your competitive advantage. What sounds like a big, crazy business word, and it's used a lot, but basically what is setting your Airbnb apart from other Airbnbs, especially in your local market? In other words, what are you doing to make your Airbnb stand out? And number 4 is management. What is your management strategy? At the end of the day, Airbnb is a business, so you need to set up systems and resources that will help you automate the process, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing to self-manage my property with very little time out of my day. Okay, so jumping into number 1, acquisition. Airbnb arbitrage, you might have heard it. It's a big buzzword. I've seen a lot on YouTube and TikTok, and it basically means finding a property that you can rent out that you then sublease for your own Airbnb needs. So basically it's the idea that you find a condo, a house, apartment, you convince the owner to let you lease it out long term, but then they also need to sign off on you subleasing the property. Then you furnish it, rent it out as an Airbnb, and whatever money you make above what your rent is considered the profit margin. I don't like this method. I've never used this method. First of all, because I'm not a sales girl. I don't like the idea of having to do a lot of cold calls, a lot of sales to convince people to let me rent it out. That's just a lot of the upfront work that I'm just not interested in doing. The method I use is house hacking, and if you're familiar with my videos, you know it's a method that I used. This is my second house that I've house hacked. My original one I used as a long-term rental, and now I am doing a short-term rental. In short, because I don't want to go off on a tangent, this video isn't about house hacking, but essentially you are using owner's financing programs like a conventional loan or an FHA loan. You buy a multifamily home, duplex, triplex, or a quadruplex, and that means you only have to put as little as 3.5% down as a down payment, and you rent out all the other units. So the big benefit of it is that you are getting rent from other tenants to help you pay your mortgage, and your down payment, you don't have to do the traditional 20% down payment that you usually have to do with an investment property. Because you are living in the property, you can take advantage of those down payment programs. The last one I paid 3.5% down on, this one I only put 5% down on. So it's a great way to help save your money, especially if you don't have like 20%. Who has 20% saved up nowadays, honestly? So yes, upfront it can be a little more expensive than the rental arbitrage route, but you're taking out all of that time that you would have had to do cold calling, sales, and also a lot of times nowadays apartments and condos are super strict about their Airbnb policies, so it can take a long time to find someone who's going to work with you so that you are able to sublease for Airbnb and other short-term rental sites. Also, when you own the home, you just have a lot more flexibility of what you want to do with it. And when it comes to like purchasing the house, you know, a lot of the negotiation and sales was done by my investor-friendly realtor. I have a great realtor, so he did a lot of that work in terms of what I would have had to do if I was working with subleasing from an owner. And even through the, you know, home buying process, if you have a very seasoned realtor and a really great lender, they are taking care of that upfront work in terms of the sales negotiation, helping you get the best deal total. So for me, it's worth it for the house hacking route. Again, the choice is yours, which is why I wanted to show you the 2 main options. So this brings us to number 2, which is the finances, your financial plan. After you purchase the house, how are you going to be maintaining your business? Again, I'm going to say this a lot, Airbnb is a business, But with Airbnb and short-term rentals, that's different than long-term rentals, is that you have to make sure the home is furnished and decorated before you list it. So that is a lot of upfront costs that you are taking on before you're even making any money. For me, it was super important, and I think it's very important for others as well, to start an LLC for my Airbnb because it limits my liability if something were to go wrong, and also it helps in terms of when I'm doing my taxes. So I decided to finance the upfront costs of buying all the furniture and decor for my home. So instead of using my money, I first applied for the Chase Business Unlimited credit card. This is a business-specific credit card, which means that you do need an LLC or an EIN to get it, which is again another reason that I got my LLC so that I could qualify for a lot of these business financing options. The great thing about this credit card is that for the first 12 months, there is no interest, so you have an introductory rate of 0%, which means during the time that I was, buying all the furniture, I did not have to pay interest. I'm just now starting to pay interest. I got the credit card 12 months ago, but my Airbnb has been listed for 8 months, so it's given me 8 months of my business being running for me to help pay down that balance on the credit card. This is something that is super important if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of funds or doesn't want to use your own funds. A business credit card with a 0% interest rate for an intro amount of time, I would say minimum 6 months, but if you can get 12 months to 24 months, that is ideal. Again, there's nothing to lose. You buy the furniture and decor that you need, and then you have a lot of time to be able to start paying down that balance. I had a pretty strict budget when it came to my decor, but honestly, by the time it came to some of the home maintenance, utilities, and the furniture, cost came out to about $10,000 before I had even listed my Airbnb. So that's $10,000 of money that I kept in my own pocket and I didn't have to pay interest on. It was also super helpful when I did have some unexpected costs for maintenance and I didn't have to dip into my own savings. I was able to use that card. Okay, so now you know how you want to get your place, you know how you're going to finance it, but number 3, what are you doing to set apart your Airbnb from the other Airbnbs in your area? I like to say I did a great job of it. I'm actually listed, not to toot my own horn, but I'm going to. I've been a super host now twice, coming up on 3 times, and I've gotten this guest favorite from having a highly rated place. A lot of those reviews mention the decor, mention the style, as well as the service I provided to them. So I was able to set myself apart by 2 things, the decor and then also just providing a really good experience for my guests. But beyond customer service, the 2 ways that I really set my Airbnb apart was the look and the location. On average, my booking rate is 50 to 80% every month, so I'm not dipping below that. I'm keeping my property booked and I'm making a profit. So number 1, location. I picked a location that's really close to the major airport in my city, so I get a lot of business people. I get a lot of people who don't want to travel far from the airport, whether they don't want to get a rental car. So my area is not only walkable, it's very, very close to the airport. So just because of that, I get a lot of traffic. It's also not super far from the city. Honestly, it's like ideally located. It's like a 15 to 20 minute drive into the city. So you kind of get the best of both worlds where you're close to the airport, you are in a walkable area, but if you do want to see things in the city, you are very close to there as well. And then the look of the Airbnb, which is a second L, is that you've probably seen it by now. I've shown some clips, but it is very bright. It's got a retro theme. It is a little touch of girly without being too much with all the pink. It's very professional and it looks like there was a lot of care put into it, which there was. I had been planning the layout and the mood board of the property for a very long time. I knew exactly what I wanted, and I had a friend who was really good at interior design, and she helped me really coordinate and pick all the pieces based on my mood board. A lot of people skip over this, and it's so important not to. I see so many Airbnbs that just look like people's leftover furniture that they put in there and wanted to rent it out, and yeah, that might be cheaper in the short term, but in the long term, in terms of getting booked out, my property, when you search for a property in this area, is the first one listed because people want to click on it because of the way that the pictures look. It looks like somewhere you want to go when you're going on vacation. It's not just like a random spot that you're staying in. The first thing when people scroll through is that they see your pictures. So make sure that their first impression really catches their eye. So lastly, number 4 is going to be management strategy. So you can get a property manager or you can self-manage. There are benefits to both. But for me, especially being a house hacker, living super close to my Airbnb, it was important for me not to make excuses and to self-manage as much as possible. I do outsource the cleaning services, first of all, because I do have a full-time job and I just don't have time to turn over the rentals all the time, especially if there's a same-day booking when a guest checks out at 11 and then another guest checks out at 4. If I am working all day, I just wouldn't have time to manage that. But there are so many systems you can set up into place with smart locks that you can set codes for, having a really good cleaning service team. And there's also a lot of tools in the Airbnb app that let you automate a lot of things. Again, for another video, but that is a big benefit to me for now. Maybe if I scale more, I can get a property manager, but right now not having to pay that extra 10% of my income really helps me save money in my own pocket. Again, there are 2 choices though. Just wanted to kind of explain what my favorite is and what I'm using currently and why. Okay, I know this video is getting really long. We've talked about acquiring your property, financing your property, your competitive advantage, what makes you stand out, and your management strategy. I really haven't talked about this Airbnb. I've been kind of off YouTube for a while, but I am going to start documenting more of the process of my Airbnb and kind of return to YouTube because I've just taken a break and I miss you guys. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I know I breezed through so much of this, but I just want to say thank you guys for listening if you made it this far, and I will talk to you very soon. And good luck with your Airbnbs!